There are moments when God doesn't warn you. He surprises you. And when he does, it's never to give you something ordinary. It's to shake your life, bless you beyond logic, and remind you that he is still God over your bank account, your house, your plans, and your destiny. You're not here by accident. This isn't just another video. It's a divine appointment. And if something deep inside you is already stirring, it's because heaven is speaking directly to you. You're about to step into a season where what was stuck will begin to move, what looked dead will come back to life, and what you couldn't afford will be completely canceled. Not by magic, not by luck, but because God has seen your tears, your secret obedience, your faithfulness when no one was watching. And now he has decided to interrupt your story with an unexpected reward. Today, I'm not speaking to you as a motivator. I'm speaking to you as someone who's witnessed what happens when heaven opens without notice. Someone who's lived through the I have nothing and seen God turn it into I have more than enough. And if you feel this word is for you, let me say this with complete certainty. God is not just about to bless you. He's about to surprise you in a way you won't be able to explain. Welcome to Napoleon Hill Code, a channel where every word doesn't just inspire, it transforms. We're not here to entertain you. We're here to remind you who you are, who walks with you, and what you're about to step into. Get ready, because this isn't just a message. It's a prophecy, and it's about to be fulfilled. There's something more painful than failure. It's feeling like God goes silent when you need him most. You've prayed, you've believed, you've sown seeds in faith, and yet, everything looks the same. The bank account's not rising. The debts are still there, and your mind starts to whisper the question you never dare say out loud. Did God forget me? Let me tell you something you must never forget. God's silence is not his rejection, it's his strategy. When it seems heaven is paused, it's because God is working in places you can't yet see. He's moving pieces you didn't even know existed. He's aligning timing, people, resources, and doors so that when he finally shows up, it won't be with drops, but with glory. You may be in the middle of the process, but God is already at the outcome. Remember Joseph? One day, he was sold as a slave. Another, forgotten in prison. And just when it looked like heaven had completely forgotten him, God took him from anonymity to authority in 24 hours. That's what God does. He works in silence, but delivers with power. So don't be fooled. You're not stuck. You're under construction. You're not alone. You're being prepared. You're not without answers. You're about to receive one you didn't even ask for. The God who seems delayed is the same one who arrives suddenly and changes everything. He doesn't move by pressure. He moves by purpose. And when your purpose aligns with obedience, miracles stop being promises and become inevitable realities. Maybe you're in that part of your story where nothing makes sense, but the author has already written the ending. And I promise you, it ends well. So keep believing. Keep preparing space. Because even if everything feels silent today, heaven is planning an explosion in your favor. And when it arrives, it won't be small. It'll be so loud, so sudden, so evident that even your enemies will say, only God could have done this. This is the kind of content you only find on Napoleon Hill Code. Because we don't play with your faith, we awaken it. Have you ever wondered why some people receive miracles, opportunities, provision, while others pray but nothing seems to move? The answer is not always in what you ask, but in how you activate it. God doesn't respond only to emotion. He responds to principle. The earth is ruled by laws, and so is heaven. And there's a spiritual code that activates divine impact in your life. Faith plus obedience equals purposeful miracles. It's not enough to desire. It's not enough to cry. God sees your heart, but he backs your action. Because here's something you must understand. Faith is not waiting around. Faith is building the ark, even when there are no signs of rain. God won't give you what you're not ready to sustain. He won't hand you abundance if you still live with a scarcity mindset. He won't release the opportunity if you're not ready to obey when it comes. And that's the big mistake many make. They want God to bless their finances, but haven't learned to obey when he whispers. They want public blessings, but haven't been faithful in secret. Heaven is not impressed by what you appear to be. Heaven honors what you practice when no one's watching. It's that moment when you had little but decided to give anyway. That night when everything said, give up, but you chose to trust. That conversation where you could have complained, but instead you chose to be grateful. That's faith. That's obedience. That's what activates the divine code. Let me be clear. God's not looking for people to excite. He's looking for people to use. And to use you, He needs to know your soul doesn't move by applause, but by purpose. That your character doesn't collapse during the wait. That your vision isn't for sale because of fear or need. When your obedience becomes stronger than your anxiety, God says, "Now I can trust you with something big." And that's when everything changes. Because what you couldn't achieve with human effort, God will release with one divine breath, on an ordinary day, through an unexpected email, a phone call you didn't see coming, an answer that needs no explanation. And in that moment, you'll understand it wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was obedience, sown in silence, now harvested in glory. And Napoleon Hill Code, we don't give you empty formulas. We reveal divine codes that the world never taught you, but heaven confirms. Do you want God to impact your life? Activate the code. Believe. Obey. And get ready for what's coming. God is not a God of just enough. He's not the God of spiritual leftovers. He's the God of overflow. In the Bible, you never see God giving just the minimum. When He fed the 5,000, there were baskets left over. When He turned water into wine, it wasn't just wine, it was the best wine. And when He blesses someone, He does it publicly and abundantly. Because there's an invisible principle that governs heaven. God doesn't give you what you ask for. He gives you what your obedience can sustain. Maybe you're praying just to pay the rent, but God is planning to free you from all debt. You're asking for a job, but God is birthing a business in your spirit. You're begging to survive, and God is preparing you to reign. The problem is never what God can give. The problem is that you're still asking small because you haven't grasped who you're talking to. He is the owner of gold and silver, the one who parts seas, shuts lions' mouths, and opens prison doors, and you're just asking to make it through the month? Wake up. God isn't limiting you. You're limiting Him with your mindset. If you only knew what He's designing, you'd start thanking Him for things you haven't even seen yet. But I don't deserve it. You're right. You don't. But it's not about deserving. It's about obeying. And when you obey, God doesn't just respond, He surprises. Ever wonder why God does such big things when He finally responds? Because He doesn't bless just for you. He blesses so others can see who walks with you. Some blessings come just to shout to the world, this wasn't human. This was God. So today I tell you something you must engrave on your spirit. God isn't going to meet your expectations. He's going to exceed them. And when He does, you'll be left speechless but filled with purpose. Overflow isn't coincidence, it's design. And if you're watching this video, it's because God wants to position you as a channel of impact, not just to pay bills, but to fund dreams. Not just to escape debt, but to bless generations. Here in Napoleon Hill Code, we're not here to teach you how to survive. We're here to remind you that your spiritual DNA was designed to prosper. So break the mental box, break the minimal request, and dare to say, Lord, I don't just want what I need. I want what you know I can handle with purpose. Because when your heart is ready, God has no problem giving you more than you ask for. There's a part of your story no one knows. A silent chapter. The one you don't post about, the one you don't talk about, but you've lived it in flesh and spirit. That day you gave when you had nothing. That moment when you helped someone while you were the one needing help. That instant when you worshiped while your heart was breaking inside. And even if no one noticed, God did. He was there when you paid that bill not knowing how. He saw you, so that offering in faith, even though it was all you had. He heard that sigh at 3 a.m. when you didn't know what else to do. Every tear you sowed was a prayer encoded in heaven's language. And heaven never forgets what you sowed in obedience. Sometimes we think God only responds to loud declarations, but He honors what you did in silence. Remember when Jesus saw the widow give 2 coins? Everyone else ignored her act, but He stopped heaven to recognize what was invisible. That's the kind of God we serve, one who isn't impressed by appearances, but moved by the emotional and spiritual weight behind your giving. If you're here today, it's not because you've done everything perfectly. It's because there's a part of your obedience that heaven never forgot. Obeying when everything is good is easy, but obeying when no one sees, no one thanks you, no one celebrates, That's genuine faith. And trust me, that's exactly what God is about to reward. You've been through seasons where it felt like you were sowing into dry ground, where your prayers seemed to bounce off the ceiling, where your acts of faith felt in vain. But they weren't. They were being recorded in heaven. And here's what you need to know. Heaven doesn't pay bi-weekly, but it does pay with interest. That help you gave, that seed you sowed, that trembling yes you spoke, all of it has been gathering spiritual interest. And when the time comes, it will unleash a harvest far greater than what you planted. Not because you demanded it, but because God promised it. Some rewards don't show up immediately because God first tests the intention. But once you pass the test, He responds with multiplication. So if you feel forgotten, overlooked, unseen, I tell you with full certainty, God saw you. And when He sees, He acts. What's invisible to men is visible to God. And what no one acknowledged, He will reward publicly. Get ready, because that secret obedience is about to bring a supernatural provision that everyone will see. There's one invisible attitude that changes everything in the spiritual realm. It's not complaint, not desperation, not religiosity. It's expectation. In the Bible, every time God manifested Himself supernaturally, there was someone waiting with an open heart. Because God isn't moved by anxiety. He's moved by living faith. And living faith can be seen, heard, and felt. Expectation speaks through your actions. You can't say you're expecting a miracle and keep living like nothing's coming. You can't say you believe in provision and still talk poverty. You can't pray for open doors and then stop knocking. Real expectation prepares the ground before the rain. It's like a pregnant woman. She hasn't seen the baby, but she's already bought the crib, set up the room, cleared her calendar. Why? Because she believes what she's expecting is real. That's what faith looks like. That's what expectation sounds like. And that is how heaven moves. You don't receive when you see, you receive when you're ready. Many say, when God blesses me, I'll change my mindset. But the truth is the opposite. God blesses you after your mindset has changed. Some people haven't seen the miracle, not because God isn't willing, but because they haven't made room to receive it. Heaven doesn't pour blessings on closed hearts. It doesn't release provision to minds stuck in survival mode. It doesn't send abundance to hands still clinging to fear. God blesses those who are prepared. So if today you're expecting a divine answer, ask yourself this. What am I doing today that proves I already believe? Are you saving? Are you clearing emotional clutter? Are you organizing your priorities? Are you sowing? Because those actions speak louder than 1,000 prayers. God doesn't need your volume. He needs your alignment. When He sees someone living as if the blessing is already done, He moves. You don't attract what you ask for. You attract what you expect with conviction. And if you're expecting the minimum, that's what will come. But if you're expecting overflow, breakthrough, sudden change, then get ready. Because heaven responds in proportion to your expectation. Today I challenge you to act differently. Speak like someone who's already been answered. Give like someone who's already been blessed. Walk like someone who's already walked through the door. The atmosphere where miracles happen is called expectation. And if you activate it today, you're going to provoke a divine intervention that wasn't on your calendar, but it's been on God's. There's a side of God many never experience, because they only seek Him when they need a miracle. But God is not just a God of intervention. He's also a God of strategy. Look at Joseph. God didn't just release him from prison. He positioned him as the strategist of a nation. Look at Noah. God didn't just save him from the flood. He gave him detailed blueprints to build the ark. Look at Jesus. He didn't just perform miracles. He built disciples, delegated roles, sent them in pairs, multiplied vision. God doesn't improvise. God plans. And many aren't seeing provision. Not because they don't pray, but because they don't hear the plan hidden inside the prayer. Sometimes the miracle won't come as a sudden deposit. It'll come as an idea you can't shake. As a whisper. Do it now. Call them. Start it. That's the answer. But many miss it because they're waiting for the show and they don't recognize the silent strategy. The miracle is the seed. The strategy is the soil where it grows. You may have faith, but if you don't know what to do with it, how to manage it, how to apply it, then the answer can arrive and still be lost. God will give you ideas, connections, directions. He may not always give you money, but he will give you the key that opens the door. And that key could be a forgotten contact, a conversation you've been avoiding, a page in your journal you wrote and never acted on. Don't just ask for miracles. Ask for vision, strategy, clarity, direction. Because a miracle can thrill you for a moment, but strategy will bless you for an entire season. There are things heaven has already approved, but they're waiting on you to move. Faith moves mountains, but strategy moves resources. Many people want to receive, but they haven't built a place for the blessing to land. You're praying for provision, but do you already have a bank account prepared for it? Have you cleaned up your finances? Have you written the project down? Have you sown into someone else? Don't ask without preparation, because when God sees you've built structure, he sends abundance. Sometimes, strategy is more powerful than the miracle, because strategy allows you to live in continuous miracles. Don't depend on emotional highs. Depend on spiritual clarity. And if today you feel God pushing you to move, don't ignore it. That small nudge, that inner discomfort, that persistent thought, maybe the plan disguised as an idea. Don't underestimate the things that seem small, because in the kingdom, what is small but well managed unlocks the supernatural. If you're waiting for something big, start by doing what you already know you must do. The plan has already begun. Now it's time for you to step into action. There are seasons where everything feels slow. Nothing flows. Everything feels stuck. And you begin to wonder if maybe this wasn't for you. But there's something you haven't seen yet. When God is about to do something great, he first goes silent. Before the rain came, Elijah only saw a cloud the size of a hand. Before the Red Sea opened, Moses only had a staff. Before Jesus resurrected, there were 3 full days of silence. That's how God works. He goes quiet right before the breakthrough. He hides right before showing you his glory. He tests right before promoting you. And today, even if you don't feel him, even if your bank account says one thing and your faith says another, believe this with everything in you. The breakthrough is closer than you think. It won't take months. It won't take 10 years. It won't require a human connection to happen. Because when God decides, no closed door, no debt, no report, no excuse can stop what heaven has already sealed. Many of you are about to enter a season of divine acceleration, where everything that felt delayed will suddenly begin to flow, like someone flipped an invisible switch. And yes, that someone is God. What was stuck for years will move in weeks. What felt impossible will show up like it was always meant to be. And it won't be small. It won't be hidden. It will be so obvious, so sudden, so glorious, that you'll be left speechless. God isn't about to help you survive. He's about to show you what it means to live with purpose and provision. Stop measuring your days by what's in your bank account. Start measuring them by what God has already promised. Because when the impact comes, it comes with power. It doesn't knock. It breaks through. It doesn't ask permission. It manifests. What's coming isn't luck. It's not coincidence. It's the sum of every tear, every act of obedience, every time you said yes when it hurt. And now heaven is about to honor your process with a manifestation you won't be able to hide. Maybe today you feel like you can't go on. Maybe today is your lowest point. But believe me, the darkest moments come right before the sunrise. God is about to break in. And when he does, he won't just change your finances. He'll change your entire perception of what's possible. Don't disconnect. Don't stop believing now. Don't sabotage with your words what your spirit already received. Your bank account might be at 0, but heaven is already counting down, and the impact has your name on it.